Hi, my name is Kevin Taylor. So, 2 weeks ago, I released an episode on how some former Article 71 holders, including the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, they tried to force the Auditor General to grant an amount close to 30 million Ghana cedis to be paid to him and his colleagues, who actually worked under President Kufuor's government between 2005 and 2009. Now, we saw lots and lots of former ministers and current ministers coming out to defend this crime. I call it a crime, yes. But they had no evidence or documents to back their claim. Today, on this show, I will be revealing former and current Article 71 holders. Yes, I will be revealing former and current Article 71 holders who were underpaid. These words are very important. They were underpaid, those who were overpaid, and most importantly, those who took double salaries during Kufuor's regime. Yes, that is our focus today. The ministers who were MPs who took double salaries during Kufuor's time. As usual, I'll back every statement I make here with documents to prove to Ghanaians and the world that we have liars and greedy men and women who pretend to love this nation, but behind the scenes, they are sucking us dry. This episode of Article 71 Fraudsters Part 2 is dedicated to the majority leader, Kyei Bonsu. So he should pay attention. He should pay close attention because I realized the last time he was all over the place, granting interviews, defending himself and defending his colleagues who were demanding 20% increment 11 years ago and that they should be paid today. I expect Honorable Kyei Bonsu to come out and speak on this Part 2 like he did when I released the Part 1. My fellow Ghanaians, this is the time he has to come out with documents, with facts, to also argue this Part 2, because this episode is dedicated to him. This episode is named Article 71 Fraudsters. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Without Due Respect. So, without due respect, there's something I would like Ghanaians to understand before we start today's show. Yes, very, very important. We need to have an idea of this. Now, let's take a few minutes and let me break this down quickly so that we can actually start the show. I don't want to confuse people because we'll be going back and forth, but our focus will be on the double salary MPs. Without due respect, we have to understand that each MP gets a monthly salary. Yes, a monthly salary for 4 years. Every month they are paid their salary, including allowances. So put it together, 12, it's 48 months. So they get their salaries. We have to understand that. That's one. And two, there's something we have to understand. End of service benefit is 4 months salary of each year in Parliament. I hope I'm making some sense. So we're talking about 16 months salary. That is end of service benefit. So salary for each year in Parliament. Now, the third one we have to understand is it's called the installation grant of 1 month salary. 1 month salary. It's basic. They receive that. And these are all monies MPs in Parliament receive. Now, the fourth one we have to understand is it's called the resettlement grant of 1 month salary for each completed year. So we're talking about 4 months salary. Every year, 1 month of your salary is taken out and then it's given to you. The resettlement grant is basic. When you are leaving Parliament, they will tell you that this is the money to go back to your village and settle with it. Yes, so every year, 1 month of your salary is taken and kept. So when you are leaving Parliament, that means 4 years. 4 years, you are given that salary. So 4 months salary out of the 4 years. Now, the fifth thing we have to understand is after receiving 48 months of 4 years salary by these MPs, each MP receives 16, that's the calculation, plus 1 plus 4, making it 21 months consolidated salary. So as we talk about here, they have received every year in the calendar year, that is 4 years, they receive 21 months of consolidated salary. Now, back to the last episode. Remember, I told you about the last episode whereby this group called the Forum for Former Members of Parliament, yes, these MPs were saying that the current administration should pay them that money. That letter came from the Jubilee House. The Chief of Staff actually signed it. The President ordered the Chief of Staff to sign that letter, push it to the Auditor General to make sure that money is paid. Remember, they were asking that 11 years ago, when they used to serve under Kufuor between 2005 and 2009, they were supposed to pay some 20% increment. So this is what was going to happen. Now, if the 20% from 2005 to 2009 was paid on the 48-month salary, then it means the 21-month benefit will equally increase by 20%, meaning it will ripple. All the money I have stated now, they are taking, the 48 months, the 16 plus 1 plus whatever, everything was going to be affected by the 20%. So they were trying to tell us that all the money they received, these MPs who came out to say we should pay them all this money, they were going to get 20% increment on each of the monies I told you. This is something I wanted you to have an idea before we actually go into today's issue. Now, let me clarify something quick before I get into the details of today's episode. Now, let me explain or state what Article 71 says so that we can have a clear idea of today's scandal. Yes, we need to know what the Constitution says about Article 71 holders. Now, in the Constitution, it makes it clear. It says the salaries and allowances payable and facilities and privileges available to the Speaker and Deputy Speaker and members of Parliament, the Chief Justice and the other justices of the Judicial Court of Judicature. See, it says the Auditor General, the Chairman and Deputy Chairman of the Electoral Commission, the Commissioner for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, that's Straj, and his deputies and the District Assembly's Common Fund administrators. It goes on to say that the salaries and allowances payable and the facilities available to the President, the Vice President, the Chairman and the other members of the Council of State, Ministers of State and Deputy Ministers, being expenditure charged on the consolidated fund, shall be determined. It says all these monies paid to all these Article 71 holders shall be determined by Parliament on the recommendation of the committee referred to in Clause 1 of Article 71. I'm stating this because remember when in Episode 1, I talked about the letter former President John Evans Atta Mills sent to Parliament. He made it clear that what they were asking for when he took office in 2009 wasn't feasible because Parliament had not granted it. The office of the President had not granted. That's why I kept asking that question in the part 1, that if Kyei MENSAH Bonsu and his colleagues who are demanding for repayment and 20% increment in the monies they were paid, they were supposed to come out with a document, because documents in Parliament all have reference numbers. And the Constitution states it clearly that before all these monies are paid, Parliament, by the recommendation of a committee, should make sure that they have sanctioned it. So when you listen to this, it clearly states that these MPs who were fighting for this money, the President gave an order that they should be paid money, they were actually paid all this money. And President Atta Mills made it clear through the letter he wrote to Parliament then. Now, we're still discussing part 1. Before I jump to part 2, I just want you to have an idea that these MPs, these former MPs who worked under Kufuor, they don't have any moral right to be asking for that money. They don't. Because if you watch or you read the letter President Mills sent to Parliament, he made it emphatic and he made it clear in that letter that all those people have been paid their full emolument or their salaries. And if I can read this to you in President Mills' letter, that's why I'm saying Kyei MENSAH Bonsu, Honorable Majority Leader, should listen very well, because he was misleading or misinforming the public. If the former president said in his letter, why is he not taking heed to that letter? In President Mills' letter to Parliament, he stated it emphatically that all the money owed these people between 2005 and 2009 have been paid. And nobody, the government of Ghana did not owe any of these people. And it stays here, and I'm going to read that to you. I'm going to put it on the board. It says, I, however, take note, this is Atamilso's letter to Parliament. I, however, take note of the fact that both the former president and former Parliament approved and applied resettlement and installation grants for specified Article 71 office holders for the period January 7, 2001 to January 6, 2005. In view of my decision to apply existing emoluments, facilities, and privileges, I direct that the installation and resettlement grant should continue to apply. So when President Mills came to power, he made sure that all these monies were paid, and he made it straight. He told the Auditor General then to make sure that these people are paid this money. He went on to say, in February 2009, I directed the Ministry of Finance to pay to members of Parliament an ex gratia of 4 months' salary for every completed year of service. It had been brought to my attention that members of Parliament have already been paid this amount. So Atamils made it emphatic that monies were paid. And then today, you see, we are going to be talking about ministers and MPs who were overpaid, those who were underpaid and their monies refunded, and those who took double salaries. I don't want you to get confused. Today, our main focus will be on MPs who were overpaid, some MPs and ministers who were underpaid, and some ministers who were MPs who took double salaries. Our focus will be on the double salaries because there are some people who are throwing sand into the eyes of Ghanaians, making Ghanaians think that we owe them some money. We don't. They rather owe us money and they have to pay us. And today, as we speak, we are still feeding these people, my fellow Ghanaians. Today, we are going to do something very, very simple. Very, very, very simple. What we're going to be doing today is that I'm going to release the Auditor General's report. Remember, the Auditor General during President Mills' time, his name is Richard Kyei. He was the Auditor General. And the report he released is dated 5th May 2010. And this was his findings after the Atamils government took office. The reference number is AG/0P/14. And if you go to Parliament, you go to the presidency, this is on file. Today we are going to do something very simple. That's why I'm saying the majority leader should listen and listen carefully, because some people took double salaries. I'm going to expose them today. Some people were MPs. They were overpaid. They have to refund their money. Some people were MPs and ministers, and they too were underpaid. So we need to understand the gravity of the situation we are dealing here. Some MPs owe the country. Some MPs were MPs and ministers. They took double salaries and they have to refund the money. And some MPs too, we have to make sure that they are paid their money the government owed them. In fact, some ministers who were MPs who were underpaid were paid their money. The money was refunded to them. So what we'll be doing today is we're taking three steps. The first one is we look at amount underpaid to ministers who were members of Parliament. There were some ministers who were members of Parliament, and some monies were paid to them. Yes, their salaries were paid, and later when we went to check their salaries, we read that they were underpaid, and that on record it shows clearly that all these people's money were refunded. We are also going to look at amount to be refunded by members of Parliament who were not ministers. There were some members of Parliament who did not get ministerial portfolio, who were not appointed as ministers. And some of these people, and all these people, totaling 176, yes, all these people were overpaid their salaries, and that they need to refund to the government of Ghana. And the most critical one is some members who were ministers and also MPs who were overpaid. Remember, in 2005 all the way 2010, the dollar was $1 is to 1 cedi. So you have to understand, if somebody takes 10 Ghana, it was basically, if you convert into today's cities, it's about 100 Ghana. So it was huge money then. Yes, huge money then. Now, the letter the Auditor General wrote with his findings and recommendations, it was dated the 5th of May 2010, and it was actually sent to the Chief of Staff Office of the President, the Castle, Osu, Accra. And the caption is, Auditor General's report on the verification of payment of emolument for ex-ministers and members of Parliament, MPs. Now, let's go on. I just want to break something down. In the letter, or in the verification or the report, it says that the Office of the President, by letter OPCOS 091011, dated 29th March 2010, through the Chief of Staff, requested the Auditor General to conduct an audit verification of emoluments for ex-ministers and members of Parliament and advise on. And this is what the President wanted to find out. Whether there were shortfalls in payment made by the Office of the President, whether there were any overpayment by Parliament, and whether there is a basis for reconciliation of the various payments. So there were three things they were looking for. If some MPs were overpaid, if some ministers were underpaid, or if some people took double salary and all that. So Atta Mills made the Auditor General do some work, investigation, basically verifications, and later this was the report the Auditor General sent to the President's office. Now, there were some recommendations made by the Auditor General then after their investigation and all that. And the recommendations were that A, the 54 ministers who were MPs who were underpaid a total of 411,632 Ghana cedis should have their short payment refunded to them. So there were some ministers who were underpaid, and that the Auditor General made it clear to the President that these ministers, who were at the same time MPs, their monies were supposed to be refunded to them. And there were 54 ministers. The second recommendation they made was that the 5 ministers who were MPs, there were some 5 ministers who were MPs. Yes, the 5 ministers who were MPs were paid double installation and resettlement grant totaling 94,000 should refund the amount overpaid to them as computed. So they were saying that there were some 5 ministers, they were MPs and ministers, they were overpaid their salaries, emolument, everything, because the reason is simple. They took money as MPs and then they took money as ministers. So they were taking double salary. And these are the 5 MPs that needs to refund that money. The third one was the 176 MPs who have been overpaid. A total of 648,000 should be requested to refund the amount wrongly paid to them. So there were 176 members of Parliament who were not ministers, and each of them were paid in a range about 2,000 to 3,000 cedis, or 3,000 to 4,000 cedis. And they think the Auditor General, after their investigation, realized that these people were supposed to refund the money. All these people were MPs, and if you know the MPs in Parliament then, from 2005 to 2009, all of these guys, 176, it said they overpaid them. They are supposed to come, and when you check the documents, which I'll place on the screen, you realize that some were paid 3,600, some were paid 4,000, some were paid 4,000. So majority of them were paid 3,600. Majority of them were paid 3,600 Ghana cedis, totaling about 411,000. All these monies were supposed to 648,000. All this money was supposed to be taken from them, paying back to Parliament. So these people, they received the money. And if you read the document from the Auditor General, which I'll publish on loudtalensradio.com, you realize that the computation and the way the calculations were done then was wrong. So it made these MPs who were not ministers got some monies they were not supposed to get. Yes, about 3,000 to 4,000, and that at the end of the investigation, they realized that the computation and the calculations they made was wrong, and that all these MPs were supposed to pay back the money. So as you can see, this is the list of the MPs. I'll publish everything on Loud Silence Radio and TV network, and on Monday, I'll take my time and break everything down for Ghanaians to understand. Today, on this show, we don't have a lot of time. I brush over the whole issue, give you the document for you to study, and on Monday on radio, I take my time to break down every single thing for you. So today, our main focus will be on double salaries and also underpayment and overpayment. And when we're talking about MPs or ministers, yes, some ministers who were MPs were underpaid. Yes, and the Auditor General then said that due to the computation and the way they did the calculation, some ministers who were MPs were underpaid, and that money was refunded. That is the statement John Ivasata-Mills wrote to Parliament to tell them that all those monies were paid. So when Forum for Former Members of Parliament, yes, come out to tell the president, which the president is part of, that we should pay them some monies on paper that we can show with reference number, we don't owe these people any money. In fact, what we have to be asking now is the 5 ministers who were MPs at the same time, who took double salary. Why haven't they paid that money? Because the amount involved is crazy and they have to pay. And also the questions we should be asking is the MPs who were not ministers, who were also overpaid that money between 2005 and 2010. Why haven't they paid that money? MPs who were also ministers who took double salaries. That is my issue. And they are vocal today. And we need to expose these people for the world to know the kind of people we're dealing with. Because you can't be an MP, take salary as an MP, take all the basic whatever comes with it, incentive that comes with it, and then as a minister, you take salary as a minister. So you go to MP, you are taking double salary. And today, all these people are in Parliament and they say and speak against corruption. They are the corruption. And today I'm going to reveal these people, and then I'll publish the list of the MPs who were overpaid. They need to come pay the money. And I'm going to publish the list of the 5 ministers who were at the same time MPs and also took double salaries. So this is what we are going to do. Let's take our time and bring things down. When we look at the list of amount to be refunded by members of Parliament who were not ministers, you see a lot of names here. Yes, lots and lots of names. And because of time, I'm not going to do the listing. In fact, 176 people. This is Appendix B. You can see names a lot, a lot. There's no time for this. But when you go on Loud Silence Radio and TV Network, loudsilenceradioandtv.com, loudsilenceradioandtv.com. All the documents will be there. But our focus today is going to be on the 5 MPs who were also ministers who took double salary. 5 MPs who were ministers who took double salary under President Kufuor. Today, we are going to take our time and break this down for Ghanaians to know. So now let's take our time and look at this double salary agent. The reason why this is tricky is because, you see, we might still be experiencing this thing in Parliament, and I'll be exposing a lot of things in Parliament very soon. The current Parliament, I will show people very soon those who are taking double salary now. But today, let's talk about where the double salary started. And after the investigation and verification payment by the Auditor General in 2005 to 2009, what they found and the people they found who were MPs and also the same time ministers who took double salaries. Now, when you look at the document, which I'll be putting here, yes, it says overpayment of 94,080 to 5 ex-ministers, meaning these people served under Kufuor and they were overpaid. They took double salaries as MPs and as ministers. Not even overpaid, they took double salaries. Yes, double salaries. Now, let me start. Remember that during the time the Auditor General was putting this together after the investigation or during the investigation, we have to understand that the dollar was almost the same as the cedi. It was $1 is to 1 cedi. So if somebody takes 10,000 Ghana cedis, if you want to convert it to today's money, we are talking about 100,000 Ghana cedis. Yes, that's huge money. And these people took money. I'm going to take my time and break it down. The first person we are going to talk about, who was a minister and MP who got double salary, and in here they were stated to refund the money, and they know, these MPs who were ministers, they know today, and they are in Parliament, and they know, and letters were written to them to pay that money. Till date, they haven't paid a dime, but they are working on radio and TV trying to tell Ghanaians that they have the moral right to write a letter calling themselves Forum for Former Members of Parliament, FFMP, to be paid monies, and that we owe them 20% increment. And these people are working in Parliament every day. They still want to be in Parliament. These people sit on TV and radio and speak about corruption. This is corruption. This is the basis of corruption. They are corruption themselves. That's why I said this episode is dedicated to the majority leader, Kyei Bonsu. You should watch this come out, go to city again, and tell Ghanaians that he does not know anything about the double salaries or the double payment as a minister and as an MP. Now, the first person here is Ernest Deborah. Ernest Deborah, he was cabinet minister. Ernest Deborah, he was cabinet minister. He took 19,424,000 Ghana cedis. And remember, the dollar to the cedi then was 1:1. So if you are talking about 19,000, do the permutation now. Crazy money then. This is 2005. He took 19,000 Ghana cedis. Now, the next person is Christopher Adai. Christopher Adai, he was a deputy minister. Christopher Adai, he took 17,936 Ghana cedis, double salary. He took salary as an MP and also took salary as a minister. And then after the Auditor General's investigation, they realized that the double salaries we are talking about, this is where it started. And to date, these people are still around. They have not paid a dime from this money. We are also talking about Samuel Kweku Obodai, deputy minister. He also took 17,936 Ghana cedis. To date, he has not paid double salaries. Remember, the dollar to the cedi was 1:1. Do the permutation now and see how much money was it then in 2005. And the next person we can talk about is Kofi Osei Ameyao. He also took 17,936 Ghana cedis. Now, the last person here is Kyei MENSAH Bonsu. He is Minister of State. Yes, Minister of State. He took 20,848 Ghana cedis. 20,848 Ghana cedis. He took the highest. So we are talking about double salary. The person who took the biggest money in our history as a nation now is Kyei MENSAH Bonsu. He is the majority leader. Double salary, double salary, double salary. He is the kingpin of double salary. He took 20,848 Ghana cedis. Remember, 2005 then, the dollar was equal to the cedi. So do the permutations now. We're talking over 200 million Ghana cedis. This man took this money. He still has it. And working in parliament, going on radio, defending people calling themselves Forum for Former Members of Parliament, FFMP, that they need to be paid money. Recently, I heard him saying that some ex-MPs, they look more and mobile and that we need to be feeding them. But you have this money in your butt. Sikawe Shawoto or Kyei MENSAH, and you're walking around. So people talking about double salary, it is you and the 4 other ministers. You were paid. So you were taking money as MPs. And at the same time, you were taking money as ministers. Double salary. And you sit and tell Ghanaians that you are somebody we can trust as a majority leader. You have the audacity to sit on radio and TV to defend crime. I want Umaru Sanders of City FM to call him back again on his show and ask him about this. I'm going to publish this on loudsilenceradio.com, loudsilenceradio.com. All the documents, their names are there, 2005, 2010. The MPs who were not ministers, who were overpaid and supposed to refund the money. I'll publish it, look for them and ask for them. The ministers who were MPs, who were underpaid and money refunded to them, these people are all part of FFMP and they know their monies were paid to them, but today they are saying we should pay them another money. But the letter Professor Mills wrote to Parliament in 2010, he emphatically stated that all these monies were paid. And then the 5 ministers who were taking double salaries, Kyei MENSAH Bonsu being the head, taking over 20,000 in 2005. The dollar was 1 against cedi, 1 against 1. Today he's sitting on radio speaking about people being corrupt. This man is the epitome of corruption. Kyei MENSAH Bonsu does not deserve to lead, because technically speaking, he is more corrupt than any politician in this country. Yes, he knows this, and he sits in Parliament and speaks English, making noise. I'll publish this for Ghanaians to understand what I'm doing. This is not the end. Article 71 fraudsters, there's a third one coming. Yes, people who are in this current government and taking double salaries. My friend, I'm telling you, we are not done with this. No, we are not done. This is just the beginning, I'm telling you. Now, I have some questions. Yes. The questions are very simple, and then I expect these MPs in Parliament, these ministers who find their names in here, those also staying at home making noise. They are simple questions I want to ask, and they need to answer us. You see, when I speak on these things, talk about double salaries and all that, sometimes you ask yourself, why is it that every time we talk about Article 71, it's only ministers who get angry, MPs who get angry? Are you not thinking about the teachers, the people who work as civil servants, who are under Article 71? Are these MPs and ministers the only people who are Article 71 holders? Apart from overpayment to 5 ministers, MPs, and 176 MPs, is it right to pay 21 months consolidated salary as benefit in addition to payment the MPs took? Yes, the MP who worked for 48 months or 4 years. Is it right to do that? Now, are other public officers, teachers, nurses, civil servants, and etc., going to be paid their salary arrears, which was not paid because it was in arrears for more than 3 months? Because these people, these former members of parliament coming out saying that we should pay them their money. Are they going to pay the teachers? Are they going to pay the other civil servants? Are they going to pay all these people because they are all being owed by the government for 3 months and over? You people are being owed, you people are owed 11 months or whatever, 11 years. Yes, these people are owed just for 3 months and they are not receiving their salaries. You people tell them that if their salaries don't come in 3 months, they wouldn't receive it. But your salaries were paid 11 years ago and you're talking about 20% increment that's supposed to be paid to you people. The Chenrehese Committee report cover all Article 71 office holders. So why only MPs and ministers all the time making noise? Why are they always the ones angry when we talk about Article 71 office holders? What about the judges? Yes. What about the Auditor General, Shraj, and etc.? Before I started this, I made the list for people to understand people who fall or the officers that fall under Article 71. Why is it that it's always the MPs who get angry, come out there, cry hey, and say they are being cheated? That should tell you something, my fellow Ghanaians. These ministers and MPs, these ministers who are at the same time MPs, they are taking double salaries. And MENSAH Bonsu is the lead kingpin. The MPs who were overpaid have to go back and pay their monies to government. The ministers who were MPs and were underpaid, Professor Mills's letter stated emphatically that you people were all paid back every cent the government owed you. So what is your case here? My biggest problem is ministers who are at the same time MPs who took double salaries. What shows that this has stopped? What shows that these same people in government today, in parliament today, now they are leaders? What shows that they are not doing the same? I'll be revealing a lot of things in the coming weeks. MENSAH Bonsu, I expect you to go back to where you started the conversation to end the conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, I've told you that I am just a messenger who is ready and willing to speak truth to power. A messenger who is not scared. Yes, a messenger who is not scared to speak truth to power. All that you heard here is with all due respect.